Rick and Melissa Hinnant were excited to start a family. In 2010, when Melissa was 5 months pregnant, she was ordered on bed rest until the baby was born. To pass the time, she started sewing and knitting. They were heartbroken when Melissa lost the baby 2 weeks later. But Rick and Melissa decided to channel that pain into something good. They launched their company, Grace and Lace, by making and selling lace socks online. After appearing on ABC's Shark Tank in 2013, they hit $1 million in 5 days.
Joining us now are the founders of Grace and Lace, Rick and Melissa Hinnant, and we thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
We talk for just a little bit to set this up about the tragedy that you experienced. I mean, were you having a perfectly normal pregnancy, Melissa, before your 5th month?
I was. You know, we had struggled to get pregnant in the beginning. We had always desired to have a family, and but once I was, it was fabulous. I felt great. I didn't have any morning sickness, so everything was going great until that one doctor's visit.
Wow. So you really had no preparation for any of what you were about to embark on. So they put you on bed rest, and even then you had the hope that if you just did everything they said you should do, you were going to deliver this baby normally, probably a little bit early, but within, was it a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I was told, you know, they rushed me into emergency surgery. The doctor said, gave me the initial devastating news that you're going to give birth to your daughter within 24 hours and she's not going to survive.
Wow.
And that was heartbreaking. And they rushed me into emergency surgery and they said, we'll do what we can to try to save her, but you'll remain in the hospital for potentially 4 months, the duration of the pregnancy, in order to keep her and for her to be developed enough to survive. And so it was during that time on the bed rest in the hospital that I had to lay on my back, and so I began to sew and create.
Wow, out of the pain and really the fear. I mean, I just can't even imagine the fear that must have been in your hearts at the potential of this loss. You start creating with no idea that it was ever going to go anywhere. It was more something to pass the time.
Exactly,
it seemed like.
exactly. When you're stuck in the hospital and you know you can watch TV laying on your back and that's about it. I needed to pass the time, and that's really where my love for knits grew, was on that hospital bed.
So Rick, in the middle of all of this chaos and potential tragedy, which hadn't even finished unfolding, how did your faith impact your ability to endure?
I would say that was at the forefront of everything. We were shocked, and certainly the unknown can be very fearful, but we love God, and we just said, this is what faith is all about. So instead of being upset about the very inconvenient situation, we just said, let's bring joy to this situation. Let's make the best of it. If this is what it's going to take to have a healthy child, no big deal. We're going to do it, no problem.
So in the middle of that, you begin to knit a blanket for Hallie. And you went on and finished that, even after Hallie had gone to be with the Lord. What was going through your mind then?
You know, because I started making that for her while I was on the bed rest and after she had passed away and didn't make it, it was kind of a healing moment for me. The Lord really spoke to me through those stitches of just knitting and continuing to make that for her, even though she wasn't there in person. I kind of felt, you know, as though my body failed in birthing and having a child survive, but I still could create and develop, and something beautiful could come from this yarn. And so the Lord really, really ministered through me in continuing to create with my hands, even though my body had failed in giving birth to her.
So after the blanket came these I don't know what you call them.
Boot socks. Lace-topped boot socks.
Lace-topped boot socks. And you had people stopping you on the street saying, where did you get those?
Yes. You know, I made a pair for myself, and they took me 5 hours to make. And in fact, I promised him I'd never make another pair again. And so here we are, over 100,000 pairs later, his boot socks. But yes, I put them on. You know, it took 5 hours to make, so I'm going to wear them so I get my use out of them. And everywhere I went, people would stop and ask me where I got them.
Now, Rick, you have an entrepreneur's heart, and you did long before any of this began to happen. At what point did you say, hey, let's throw these up online and see if we can get a customer?
Well, when she would come home and have business cards and handwritten notes of people's information, something in me said, we might be onto something. And let's just try it. Let's throw it up online and see what happens.
Wow. So you threw it up online, and you immediately, really, like
yes. They sold instantly, and then within a matter of 3 days, we had over 500 purchase orders for this pair
At 5 hours a pop, that must have been terrifying to you, can I just say?
Well, you know, we're people that I think God has instilled in us to be able to figure things out and to turn to Him. And I just told Melissa, I said, you're not going to make 500 pairs, but you know how to make them.
Yes.
So let's go find as many seamstresses as we can, and let's teach them how to do it, and then we'll fulfill the orders. And I thought that'd probably be the end of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't. Orders just kept coming in.
They kept coming.
Not hundreds, it turned into thousands.
Before we knew it, we had a business.
So from this new business to Shark Tank, how did that quantum leap happen?
Oh, goodness.
Everybody'd like to do that, but...
We've always been a fan of Shark Tank since season 1. We don't have time for TV, but we'll watch Shark Tank. It's that entrepreneurial, I think, mind in us. And ever since season 1, Rick has always said, Melissa, wouldn't it be great if we had a business that one day we could be on Shark Tank? And I was like, no, I don't want to be on Shark Tank. I don't want to get eaten alive by Mr. Wonderful. So
I have to say, I'd be right there with you, Melissa.
So when Grace and Lace started, he, behind the scenes, is applying for the show. And I had no faith we would be on, But you met, but a friend of yours came forward. You didn't even know this guy knew anybody connected with the show, right?
No, my friend didn't know that we had a desire to be on Shark Tank, which I felt was of God. And I had applied 5 times and heard nothing. And then one phone call to him, and I asked him point blank if he wanted to be a partner with us. And he said, I do, but I really feel like you're supposed to be on Shark Tank. And so from that, he connected us to a producer. And the rest is history, as we say.
You wound up partnering with Barbara from the Shark Tank crew of people. After the show aired, what happened?
Oh my goodness, things exploded.
Sales soared. Yes,
wow.
We went from this, what we thought was a thriving business, to airing in front of 8 million viewers.
Good grief.
We did over $1 million in business in 5 days.
And that had never been done on Shark Tank.
In 5 days.
Yeah.
Never been done. And so we were excited about seeing the numbers coming in, but also thinking, oh my goodness, how are we going to possibly fulfill this many orders? Because we were used to about 150 to 250 orders per day. We were now getting 2,000 to 4,000 orders per day.
Word.
So we went from 6 employees before Shark Tank to 36 2 days after Shark Tank.
Wow, wow. And you've created many more products.
Not just boot socks anymore.
Yeah, not just boot socks anymore. Grace and Lace has expanded.
Yes.
But in addition to that, you of course had this desire to be entrepreneurial, to have your own business, but you also had a desire to change and make a difference in the lives of people who didn't have the same opportunity. Talk about that.
Well, you know, we've always been mission-minded, both of us. I grew up in a Christian home, but ever since the age of 13, I spent my summers overseas on mission trips. And the Lord has just really burdened me for the poorest of poor. And the summer of my, when I was 18, I was in India, and I had never seen poor like that before. Poverty just at the most extreme. Yes. And I left there with a note in my journal that just said, I need to do something more. I was so burdened. And never in a million years would I think that the Lord, would I have thought then that the Lord would give us a business that would be able to fund and support the building of orphanages there in India. And we've been able to do just that with Grace and Lace.
So through your tragedy came blessing and opportunity. I don't know why God chooses sometimes that it happens that way. Maybe he takes what is just in the world that's tragic and then turns around and gives us beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. And out of that, you have reached back into someone else's tragic circumstances and made a difference. Where are you going with all of this? What's your vision?
Well, this is God's business. We simply steward the business. It's His story. And if I knew the answer to that, I would tell you, but honestly, I don't. I think we're just in the beginning phases. We have a huge heart. I would like to see this business at 100 million plus. But it's really God's story. So we're following Him to the best of our ability. And hopefully He takes it and explodes it. But you know what? He may not. But we're going to do everything that we can to go after Him. Psalm 37:4 delight yourself in the Lord, and He will grant you the desires of your heart. So that's what we want to do. We want to go after Him with all that we've got and let Him bring the desires of our heart to us.
Yeah. How wonderful. Hallie's applauding, I am sure. I am sure. Just want to say that Rick and Melissa are doing so much. If you're interested in seeing all that Grace and Lace has to offer, check out their website at graceandlace.com, and also check out what their company, their corporation, is doing to bless the lives of others. Thank you both so much. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Terry.